Welcome to Checkpoint Radio. We cover esports and gaming news,
as well as trends, experiences, and insight.
We'll tell you about the latest games, important events coming up, as well as give you the biggest newsmakers in esports and gaming.
So tell us what you want, what you think about what you hear.
It's easy to interact. Check us out on social media at CheckPT Radio and on the web at checkpointradio.com.
And let your local station know that you enjoy and listen to the show.
This is Checkpoint Radio.
All right, let's hit it.
Oh my God, what is this?
A new era dawns to fill the void. An unfamiliar path with a pulse of its own.
3, 2, 1.
Final Encountercast.
Interesting conflicts.
Not conflicts of interest.
Typical corporate bullshit.
With your hosts, Nate, Robbie, Chris, Nika, and Callie. FinalEncountercast.com.
Ready? Get set? Go!
What's up? Welcome to Final Encountercast. Thank you guys for joining us here today. FinalEncountercast.com. And live at our new time at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, Sundays. That's here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. Appreciate the 100 of you joining us right off the rip. Thank you, guys. If you want to call the show, we invite you to call the show. 810-207-1764. The number to call. Final Encountercast on Skype. We're excited today because this past week, last Thursday, saw the premiere of Checkpoint Radio, something that we have shared with you guys here on the show before. We've talked a lot about its development. We'll talk a little bit more about it today. But of course, we've got to talk about some gaming headlines, the latest in gaming news. We invite you to call the show. Final Encountercast on Skype, 810-207-1764. Of course, joining me, we've got Robbie. What's up, dude?
What up?
Callie, how's it going?
Going good.
Fat, how you doing?
Hello, kiddies.
Oh, your drops are low.
Why are my drops low?
I gotta turn
Probably
them
because
off.
they were turned off.
Yeah.
Because no one was using them.
We usually keep them pretty turned off when you're not here. Also join...
If only someone would be sitting in this chair able to do the drops. Goodly.
Goodly.
How was your day off last week?
Do you want it? Is that your way, Juxta, Chris, Fat, whatever the fuck your name is for the show? Is that your way of saying that you want to intern for Checkpoint?
Intern for Checkpoint?
Yeah, you want to intern for Checkpoint?
Why would I do that?
Well, we wouldn't have a mic for you.
Would I have drops?
You would only have drops. You would have drops and nothing else.
Would I have like drops about penises in there?
No.
Well, then I'm out. I'm out.
That's the challenge. Is to take drops that have nothing to do with penises and try to make them penis references. That's where the true art comes into it.
Good.
I mean,
that's what our show needs.
More dick jokes.
That way, people listening are like, was he talking about a penis? They'll never know, though.
I mean, they would if they knew the context of this conversation. See.
See that
there's no way that we could have them be responsible with it either. You know, we would get 10 minutes through a 12-minute segment. He'd bust one of those out, and it would be like
Shameful.
Yeah,
and we'd have to start all over.
Exactly.
Great.
I'm not sure how we would block him off from the filthy ones either.
Sorry, not sorry.
He would have to be responsible.
Yeah, it's probably better he's just not involved.
A responsible human being. Yeah, we should probably just not let him anywhere near it.
Yeah. For people wondering why Chris isn't on Checkpoint,
They're player haters.
Yeah, well, it's because we're player haters.
Yeah, that's why.
Totally hate the player.
That's why. Did I intro Nika? I think I did.
No.
No? Well, Nika's not here.
No, you didn't.
Nika's not here.
Hi, guys.
They can clearly see.
Hi, Nika.
Whatever. Hi, Nika. How you doing?
Hi.
Right.
Welcome to the show today. FinalEncounterCast.com, of course, is the website. We invite you to check it out. Leave some comments on our articles. By the way, we have a live blog of everything that we talk about. So if you're curious on getting more information about anything that we talk about on the show, head on over to FinalEncounterCast.com and check that out. That will be your guide to everything that we talk about today. So, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of interesting news stories this week.
I'll say.
Yeah, there sure is.
You feeling any better, by the way?
A little bit. I mean, like, I slept all of yesterday. Mono is brutal. And the thing is that, like, with the increased workload, you know what I mean? Like, I'm having to push through it because, you know, we have to have Checkpoint ready for air by Thursday at noon.
Well, I mean, you sound pretty good today.
Actually, today is...
Was that sarcasm?
In terms of my throat, I'm doing pretty okay today.
No.
We'll see what happens by the end of Limit Break Radio.
No, it's not sarcasm, Christoph. I just wanted to point out that, like, you know, like, the majority of us are sick in some way. You have mono. Chris over here has GERDs. Whatever GERDs is. GERD.
What's GERDs? It's hold on, I looked it up. It's gastroesophageal reflux disease.
Did you look this up on WebMD?
No, Wikipedia.
Well, no, he was actually diagnosed with it. Then he had to go look up what it was.
Yeah, I actually went to the emergency room on, like, Friday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Isn't that just extreme heartburn?
Pretty much. He's getting old. Yeah, I woke up this morning to him vomiting for like 10 minutes. Like, I just wanted to take a shower, and he's just in there, like, puking everywhere.
My spleen is swollen. I have a legit excuse to be vomiting.
Yeah, I just have, you know,
my heartburn really, really hurts, okay? I went to the emergency room, which is the most terrible place to ever go ever.
Have you been to Uganda?
Yes.
He's kind of got a point. And I know that you haven't.
How do you know?
Yeah, because if there's anything that is synonymous with fat, it's well-traveled.
How do you think I got so fat? By eating all the Ugandan delicacies?
Ugandan.
Yeah, all the plentiful food they have in Uganda, right?
Well, they did.
Well, it's not Ethiopia. Come on.
Uganda be kidding me.
I got crazy allergies. I'm dripping from every orifice. It's terrible.
Come on, that's a Chelsea Handler special. It's like the straight up the name of her special.
Uganda be kidding me?
Yes. It's like the most recent one on Netflix, I'm pretty sure.
You can't even come up with a good pun by yourself?
No, I steal people's
You make
stuff.
me and Robbie just so disappointed.
Hey, don't
We're
lump
not
me.
angry.
Don't lump me
We're
with
just
you.
disappointed. Are you happy that he's stealing puns now?
I've pretty much
Stolen puns can't melt steel beams.
First of all, I usually credit the shit that I steal, which means that I'm not actually stealing it.
He does.
That I'm actually giving credit for it.
No, it just means you're stupid.
No, it knows where. It just means I know where the references are coming from.
Nika, you need to be careful, though. You're like the only one of us who isn't sick, though, so watch yourself.
But I always have sniffles.
Oh, fair enough, I guess.
Because I work with 5-year-olds, so that means I'm in a constant state of cold.
You work with germ piles.
Wait a minute. What is...
They're germ factories.
Kylie's not sick.
He's got the gaze, dude. It's incurable.
No, I have the perfect solution.
Mean.
No, it's the perfect solution. Just pray the gay away.
He's got the dick fever.
Yes, the religious plan.
Well, if that doesn't work, there's always electroshock therapy.
I got a fever.
Oh, well.
For a hot beef injection.
And the only cure is more cowbell?
No, it's more penis. Anyway.
Yeah, I hear if I stay gay, I get to go to camp and I get all the electroshocks I want.
It's a pretty good deal.
It's free.
Right, yeah. I mean...
You won't get rid of me that easily.
Oh my gosh, is this Christmas?
No idea what this segment is.
What is going on?
There's more drops back here that no
This
one
is our
told me
personal
about.
update segment.
That no one told you about?
Yeah.
Are you sure that they're not the ones that you gave to me, that you asked me to put in, and then just never checked on? Because I definitely...
It's the stuff that we got from Checkpoint.
Right. Yeah, there is new stuff. I forgot there is new stuff that we didn't tell them about. Yeah.
Thank you, Thor, for that. Is anyone having sound issues? It should be stereo sound, but it appears to be mono.
Oh, man.
Yeah, actually.
You have done well.
Oh,
that's a groaner. Thanks for the
Who
dad.
knows?
Thanks for the dad joke, Thor. Much appreciated.
I'm so happy right now.
All right. Again, finalencountercast.com to find the website. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/limitbreakradio. And if this is your first time catching the show on our new time and on our new home, twitch.tv/limitbreakradio, make sure that you hit that follow button and join us all the time at 1 p.m. All right, let's check out what's going on in the news.
I'm here to do the news tonight.
And that's the way the news goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt this program to bring you important news.
Here's a story that's out of this world.
Well, guys, I'm thrilled to be reporting on this bit of news. The nation's first esports gaming radio show premiered this week in Denver. Checkpoint Radio is on the air.
I just want to point out that I don't know how this happened. I've hated that news intro since I built it, and we've made fun of it since I made it. I've had every intention on changing it, and now it's on both shows.
It's on Checkpoint.
It's on Checkpoint. I don't know how that happened.
Have we no shame that our first news headline is ourselves?
No shame
Not
whatsoever.
Absolutely. It's the leading news story.
We started the show with a promo for our other show.
Yes, idiot!
We have no shame whatsoever.
Absolutely not.
Listen to Checkpoint, checkpointradio.com. We're actually going to be talking about some of our plans for what we're going to be doing with it digitally, like what kind of podcast presence it's going to have, at least off the bat. So stay tuned if you're interested to know more about that.
Blizzard is actively lobbying Microsoft and Sony to either make it impossible to use a mouse and keyboard with their console or make it readily available rather than requiring an input conversion device. The goal is a level playing field among console users for their game Overwatch.
You know what? I hope that they do the former and they make it so that everyone has the ability to use it. That way people who don't switch to mouse and keyboard stay down in the bronze and silver levels where they belong.
I mean...
That's rude.
No, maybe they should just get good.
Or get a keyboard.
Just get a keyboard and mouse, yeah. I mean, like, if you can use it with the system, like, how would you even detect something like that? How would you regulate something like that exactly?
I have no idea. Or can we just make it so you don't need, like, the input conversion device to make it work? How about you can just use a keyboard and mouse?
Yeah, just plug it in.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some games that do support keyboard and mouse. I know that FF14 natively supports keyboard and mouse with the PS4.
You know what's even more disturbing is that there are some people who play on PCs and still use a controller.
Oh, boo.
What? Right?
I do that on 14.
Well, on 14 is one thing.
On 14, yeah, but not on Overwatch.
Yeah, this is an FPS.
But I don't know. I kind of feel like those people are probably the people that have grown up with console games and have not been able
grew
to
up with console
adjust.
games.
But that's
like
why they're
even
in
playing
bronze.
playing FPS games on controller. I feel like it'd be hard to make that switch. Not that it's impossible, but some people just aren't willing to take the time to.
And that's
adjust.
fine if they don't mind remaining in Elo Hell.
Yeah, they're going to be bad forever.
Yeah.
How is Elo Hell, by the way, Mr.
I will
Robbie?
let you know if it gets any better once I can get Thor to use keyboard and mouse and we get out of it. Thank you very much.
During a Reddit AMA, a developer of Conan Exiles mentioned possibly adding a castration mechanic into the game to serve the purpose of collecting trophies from your enemies.
Oh my god.
The game, currently in early access, has no qualms about nudity, even having a breast and penis slider during character creation.
Why aren't we playing this game?
Well, because it's terrible and they closed. I thought they had closed the servers for Conan, but I guess someone else had bought it and relaunched.
This is Conan Exiles.
Oh, Conan Exiles. This is okay. This is something totally different.
Yeah, this is in early access right now.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
it's a totally different thing. Well, because Age of Conan was like the first MMO to like be like, we got tits, and they made like a big selling point about it.
But you
take off your clothes.
But you couldn't show penis in Age of Conan, something they have now fixed.
So now they're like, all right, the tits thing didn't work, so we have dicks.
Now there's a dong slider.
Dicks.
There's a dong.
And you can
I'm
cut off
down.
people's balls.
Let's play.
Or
Let's play. Let's switch to that game.
They want to have you be able to cut off people's balls and take them as trophies.
Do you not?
I mean, that seems like what do you do when taking a female trophy?
They have not commented.
Can you
cut their tits off? I don't know.
Yeah, like what's the equivalent?
You can you make a necklace out of your trophies and wear people's dicks around your neck?
Well, castration is their balls, not their dicks.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
So I guess you could make like a pearl necklace.
Yeah. I mean, like if you could hang nut sacks and labias around your neck, like I guess that's kind of cool.
Well, the nut sacks would be the necklaces. Labias would be like earrings or like a nose
Oh, okay.
ring.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
A nose ring.
And
That's
if
particularly gross.
If there's lots of nudity, nipple rings.
Ugh.
Ugh. Yeah. All right. Great.
I mean, like this just sounds all kinds of awful. It sounds like I legitimately don't want to play that game.
Really, you don't want to play the game with lots of dong and testicular.
I already
castration?
played that game once. It was called Second Life.
Oh.
I don't need that again. Okay.
Kidding, obviously.
Have we established on the show that you played Second Life? I didn't know you played Second Life.
You don't really play Second Life so much as you jack off to it.
It's more of an experience.
Yeah.
It's more of a masturbation experience. I gotcha.
I mean, it's, you cycle through it like you do porn. So I spent 3 weeks on it, and then I moved on to some other fetish.
Well, speaking of masturbation experiences, Brazzers is back with yet another video game porn parody, this time for MGS. Yes, Metal Rear Solid the Phantom Peen is here. And having thoroughly studied the trailer for show purposes, the attention to detail is surprisingly good.
I want to give us
Metal Gear.
You want to give us some examples, Callie?
They do a sequence where you have like the codec load up, and it looks like it's kind of right out of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Fun.
The trailer's mostly NSFW if you want to go watch it. It's interesting.
Yoshi P needs to
Okay.
take notes.
No.
Dick sliders for STORMBLOOD.
Do you not have the donations up?
Also, castration
I guess I
mechanic.
don't.
I want to wear Nidhogg's dick around my neck.
Cool donation talking way too much about FF14, but whatever.
So, yeah.
This is not an FF14 show.
Nate,
Maybe you're off like finger blasting somebody.
Nate, have you checked out the Metal Rear Solid?
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course.
Have you purchased it?
I mean, I can't get through more than about 10 minutes of it.
Before,
before I lose all interest in it. For reasons.
Not what I was thinking.
Well,
It's not about puss, all right?
He has to run in order to get off, guys, so he can't keep watching it as he's running.
And I have mono. I mean, that takes a lot of energy.
No, see,
Just saying.
That's why you need the VR headset, so you can run down the hallway while wearing it.
Except they don't have wireless VR headsets yet. You're not going to get very far.
See, I've just
Get long cords, man.
See, you guys understand. Like, it starts with Second Life, and then eventually you're running down halls screaming while you're masturbating.
The struggle is real.
It is.
Oh my god. Both GameStop and Target have had to cancel some Switch pre-orders due to a shortage, though it's unconfirmed whether they oversold their allotment or Nintendo lowered what was available. For their part, Nintendo is ramping up production to meet with demand.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Nintendo said they were going to give more production, so I feel like it wouldn't be on Nintendo's part.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. Basically, this happened to GameStop and Target. My guess is they probably oversold what they had, but look forward to it. They're making more. Alicia Vikander, our next Lara Croft, is in the upcoming Tomb Raider reboot, has been seen on set doing stunts for the first time, and wow. She's got the look down, and it's awesome to see her doing her own stunts. Check out the link at our live blog, and you can check out some of the images from on set. It looks really good.
I mean, the question, is anyone excited for this movie, or are we like...
I'm not excited for it, and after seeing the set pictures, they look like they were actually pulled right out of the most two recent games, so I mean, I guess that's
so the
step in the right direction.
Yeah, we know it's supposed to be based more on the reboot games.
Yeah.
So the Lara Croft movie looks not goodly.
Lara Croft.
What?
Not good.
What? I was making fun of his grammar because he said he's not excited.
Oh.
Well, usually when you hear like there's something, like a new game movie coming out, you're like,
Especially Lara Croft.
Why?
Or like a new television series based on a popular FPS.
Dude, that's going to be lit.
Hey, we're getting to that.
We've got, I mean,
spoilers.
We've got the picture here on screen.
Excellent.
For everyone to check out.
Yeah,
and I mean, she definitely looks like Lara Croft.
Yeah, if there was ever a Tomb Raider game or a game that was ready to be adapted to a film, I think that going with like the Tomb Raider games or even like one of the Uncharted games is probably one of the ones you'd want to pick.
Because the Angelina Jolie movies were so good.
Take off your clothes.
Okay, but prior to the two recent games, I mean, all the Tomb Raider games were always just like these standalone levels that never really kind of added up to a whole lot. So it was like it was terrible. It was bad.
Congratulations go out to SK Telecom T1's.
Nate played Second Life. Well, I think that should put him on furry suspicion.
Absolutely. What was your persona, Nate?
I'm sorry?
What was your persona?
I caught that. I didn't have one of those.
All right, new game. Chat. Come up with Nate's persona.
Yeah, what is Nate's persona?
Please don't.
Extra challenge, draw it too.
What do they call it when it's like a lizard person?
What?
What?
They have their own name when they're lizard people, but I don't know
what.
I don't know what I have literally no fucking clue what tinfoil hat basement fucking conspiracy theory you're talking about.
What?
I bet Xerox would be a skunk.
Ooh, I could see it.
What?
See, I'm trying to like find some clever play on words for like his name, but to put like an animal in there, but I can't do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
Nate the Snake.
Nate the Snake.
That makes me sound like Jake the Snake Roberts.
You're so bad, Fat.
My God. You call us lazy for your nicknames.
Congratulations go out to SK Telecom T1's Faker. The 3-time world champion is considered by many to be the best League of Legends player in the world, and he now owns a record on Twitch as well. After signing up, his very first stream broke the record for most concurrent views for a single streamer, with 245,000 people tuning in to watch him practice. By the way, that stream was only 2 hours long.
Man, fuck this guy.
That's ridiculous.
Fuck this guy.
He pulled in a fourth of the number of the what was the recent
the E-League major.
Yeah, the E-League majors. That is insane.
Yeah. Fuck this guy.
By himself.
Is he partnered yet?
I'm sure he is.
That's ridiculous. I mean, I get it, and that's pretty impressive. But yeah, like that's.
But at the same time, fuck this guy.
But it's like it is also at the same time like, damn, we've been slugging this out for how long?
What do you guys think Lyric would think of this guy? He's got to put his time in. He can't get partnered that quick or get any donations. Put your time in first.
That's right.
Yep.
You gotta earn it, bruh.
8 months after announcing it would support mobile live streaming. That feature is now available on YouTube. For now, the service is available to anyone with over 10,000 subs and will become available to everyone else in time.
Hooray! Another live platform for people to commit suicide on.
Oh, dark. Okay.
But heroes never die.
Did you guys not hear about like the suicides that have been happening on like Facebook Live and Instagram Live? Like,
what?
It's been all over the place.
It's been a fucking problem.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's like weird and dark.
It's happened now on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Twitch. I don't know. I can't confirm Twitch, but I know for a fact in the last couple of weeks there was one guy who was accused of some kind of sexual assault, and he was like taken into custody for it. They let him out of custody, and then he commits suicide on Facebook Live.
Oh my God!
How'd he kill himself?
Wow.
I don't know. I'm really not interested in watching any more fucking R. Bud Dwyer videos.
He's past that phase. That was a very, very old fetish.
Was that before or
Don't use
after
the word
second?
fetish here.
Not quite.
Was that before or after Second Life?
Not quite I wouldn't call
Second Life. I think it was after.
No, but I mean, like, when I was like 16, 17 years old, I did own Faces of Death DVDs, and I mean, I know that
my God.
half that shit is like, a lot of that shit is fake, but like definitely
not all of it.
Yeah, not all of it. Like stuff like the R. Bud Dwyer suicide, like that was totally real. Like it was, there's a very real documented event. I've seen enough of it. I don't need to see any more of that shit.
Wouldn't seeing one of it be enough of it?
Kinda.
Yeah. Like once you've seen someone commit suicide, aren't you kind of good?
Here's the thing about the article that jumped out at me that I just want to make sure that I'm right. In order to use the live streaming service, you have to have 10,000 subs.
Right now, because it's like a beta feature.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for YouTube, it's not.
Subs are like follows.
Right. Yeah, for YouTube. It's not as bad on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
Milwaukee County passed an ordinance against Niantic specifying that they would need to get a permit to use its parks in Pokemon Go. The ordinance came after players reportedly did thousands of dollars in damage to parks over last summer, and all that said, enforcing such an ordinance against Niantic is going to prove difficult.
Yeah, I don't see this happening without a whole lot of heaven and earth moving. Like, honestly, first of all, I think that the claims of thousands of dollars worth of damage are vastly overstated.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Probably.
And then at the same time, like, I don't see how it's going to be enforceable, against Niantic. Niantic's going to go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Niantic's like, we're on the other side of the Pacific, dude.
I don't think they've responded to a single legal request that they've gotten so far regarding Pokemon Go.
And why would they?
They've made their own shitty choices, like the speed cap and stuff like that, but I don't think any of that has been external pressure or any kind of lawsuit or, court action. That has been largely unenforceable.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue like that.
The things like the speed cap, that's a PR move. Like, that's what it's there for.
I guess we'd need to find an Nero's. Nate, I have Persona.
Ugh.
Okay, what?
Ugh. Native.
Native Persona.
Oh.
Gag. Blizzard has made an interesting change, now allowing players to spend World of Warcraft gold on Overwatch loot boxes and Hearthstone cards. Basically, players can buy WoW tokens, an in-game item that can be used to pay for the game for a month. These items can now also be used for $15 Battle.net credit, which can go towards Overwatch and Hearthstone transactions as well. Effectively, you can now farm gold in World of Warcraft and buy Hearthstone cards.
Yeah, I don't think that this affects as many people as what you would think, especially because those token prices have recently jumped from around 25K to like 80 to 90K gold, which is quite a bit. So unless you are a active World of Warcraft player and you just happen to have like extra gold to spend on that kind of stuff, you're not going to be like, oh, let me go into World of Warcraft and farm gold to use in Hearthstone and Overwatch, because you could just be in Hearthstone and Overwatch actively playing.
Yeah, but how many players are sitting on a whole bunch of resources that they've never bothered to use?
That's very possible.
I mean, it's just this kind of like fluid currency conversion is really sort of like starting to border on RMT, and I find that really interesting. Like, there was a big backlash against Diablo when Diablo tried to pull it off, and granted, you could actually get real money out of that, but this seems like steps towards that, like a fluid currency that you can use between any of Blizzard's titles. And I mean, like, I don't know. If I were more invested in Blizzard, I think I would be a little bit concerned about this.
I don't know about that. Like, I look at it the same way that the space MMO. The one
Eve.
with Eve, thank you. Eve Online, they've had this exact same thing for a long time, where you can buy an item in-game that will be your subscription for a month, and you've been able to sell that in the real world. That's how they, like, when they have these massive battles, that's how they can determine how much actual real world currency was lost in that. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with that. I just don't know if it's applicable in Blizzard's library.
I don't know if it's applicable towards the RMT sense. I mean, I kind of see like the road you're going down, but all the stuff that you can use gold to buy in Hearthstone and Overwatch, you're using your real money to buy anyway, and you can't backward. Like, there's no way that you can in
get money
World
out
of
of the
War.
system.
Yeah, you can't get money out of the system, and in World of Warcraft, you can't benefit. Based on like Overwatch or Hearthstone. Basically, if you have the extra money, sweet. The only way I can see other people benefiting is if I'm like, all right, I see that these tokens are 80,000 gold now. I'm gonna personally spend, I think it would be like $30 to buy a token and sell it. Now I have gold to play with.
Right. Well, but I mean, like, okay, so if you consider, like loot boxes, something like a microtransaction.
Yep. Yes.
This gives, this is a way to circumvent being able or having to spend actual currency on, actual money on something.
It is.
And it just seems like RMT, but just with it. You know what it seems like? It's RMT with extra steps, if I may quote.
Oh,
Rick
no, it absolutely
Sanchez.
is. It absolutely is.
It's exactly what it is. It's RMT with extra fucking steps.
What I want to know,
that's not worth it.
I want to see how many people resubbed to World of Warcraft for 1 month to get their huge cache of money that they had when they quit.
They just had left over
and transfer it over to something else.
I thought about doing that because I think I had like 40 or 50k gold, but I mean, if those tokens are going for like 80 to 90k, I don't even have enough to justify doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather spend that $15 on loot boxes.
Likewise. Fallout 4 has passed Skyrim to become Bethesda's most successful game ever in terms of units shipped. Bethesda marketing executive Pete Hines stated on Kinda Funny that comparing them over the same amount of time, Fallout 4 has indeed passed Skyrim, though Skyrim still has moved more copies overall.
Well, yeah, I mean, Fallout's only been out for a little over 2 years now, I think.
Yes.
Like, I remember talking to someone and mentioning this, like, oh, yeah, it only took 6 years. I'm like, all right, that's not really fair because Fallout hasn't been out like that entire time. And, I mean, it was only a matter of time, too. By the time, they've recently announced the newest Elder Scrolls, haven't they? Or is that just the expansion?
What?
No,
they announced the Skyrim remaster or whatever.
No, I'm thinking of the expansion for Morrowind.
Okay.
Yeah, for ESO. Yeah, that's the only thing that they've talked. They definitely have said nothing about the next Skyrim.
So Fallout's
the
probably,
next, ESO.
Yeah, so Fallout 4 is going to be
next Elder Scrolls.
Thank you.
Be their king until the next Elder Scrolls, and I'm sure after a year or two that'll overtake as well.
A former member of the ESEA's invite team Exodus has been banned from the Counter-Strike community for harassing a 15-year-old girl.
Whoa!
Yeah, the chat logs of what he said are still available online, and they are certainly vile. But what's interesting is the length of Bloom's ban. He will regain access to the community on June 6th, 3016, roughly 1,000 years from now.
Wow.
That's not too bad.
Crap!
Yeah, he was handed a 1,000-year ban for harassing a 15-year-old girl.
So his descendants can use his account in the future.
Yeah, because Counter-Strike will still be around, I'm sure, in 1,000 years.
You know what? I'm actually glad to see like actual definitive punishment being taken towards this kind of behavior, so that going forward, people can't use the fucking excuse for it, like, oh, it's always been like this. It's just trash talk.
I don't want to, like, it's not a direct quote, but it was something along those lines. At some point, he was quoted like saying, "I don't care if I'm a pedophile" or something like that. And it's like,
Jesus, dude, fucking Christ!
Come on, don't be shitty.
Yeah, kinda. Like, right, dude, you said a lot of things that you probably shouldn't say. So yeah, I mean, he's a former, or I don't know if he's a pro player, but a borderline player. He played for an invitational team, so I guess I would make him a pro player.
Wow.
Yeah, dude,
15 years old and like kind of proud of it too. It sounds like he's proud of it.
Yeah,
dude, you can't say the stuff like that. You just can't.
Children, behave.
That was weird. That was a weird.
Yeah.
In the context of the conversation.
I thought
I was going for.
I don't know. I thought it was funny.
I was trying to be weird, Nika.
That was
now
weird.
you're weird.
Come and get it.
Do it.
For the first time ever, E3 is opening its doors to the public. An allotment of 15,000 tickets will go on sale February 13th at $250 per ticket. E3 takes place June 13th through the 15th this year, with over 200 exhibitors lined up to show their wares.
It's never been open to the public?
No.
Think that has
sure?
Yeah, let's go back like 10 years, back when like PlayStation Magazine was like a thing. I feel like back then it was open to the public. Then they got all like really, really closed off with it to where it was only like media and like industry that got access.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I could swear I was on the game FAQs forums and the Smash Brothers forum was going crazy because E3 was closing down, but it was just closing to the public. Is what I thought.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's right.
That it was open to the public at some point?
It used
I feel like it was.
Yeah,
Kooky said it used to be open to the public like $700+ or so.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was ridiculous because it spun out of CES. Like, it used to be that all of the game companies would go and show off all of their new hardware and stuff over at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. But then it ended up becoming like too much of a sideshow. Like, the video games were getting more attention than a lot of the stuff like the consumer electronics that they were showing off at CES. So they spun it off into E3, and I'm pretty sure for the first 2 or 3 years that it was open to the public.
And I think one of the reasons that they made the change to close it off was around the time they started cracking down on like booth babes and stuff like that, because it was too much of a spectacle and wasn't focusing enough on the actual.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That was PAX.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that I ever heard the thing about the booth babes, but
Yeah, that was definitely PAX that was cracking down on booth babes.
Was it?
Not E3.
But I do know that, E3 became an industry-only event, like a media and industry-only event for a while. But the media was always so loosely defined that most anyone with a halfway decent traffic blog could get in. And now I guess they're just removing that pretense and going, all right, we're going to just open it up. But I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, look, a lot of the biggest, most visible companies have pulled out of E3 in the last couple of years, and in favor of doing their own online streaming event. And it's sort of like why would you do E3 anymore? Like, it's almost even it's almost on its face more efficient to do your own stream, in your own event, so that your product gets the most visibility possible. You don't have to share the stage with 100 other developers. So
just another trend that Nintendo has set.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Get out of here.
Woof. He looks so mad.
All right, guys, remind me this week. I'm finally doing it. We're going to buy a Nerf gun to shoot him with when he makes stupid comments.
Yes, please.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that too.
Using company funds? That's like a company punishment, right?
Yeah,
rejected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing. So we have to take the time to modify it, because what Nerf does is they put really bad springs in there.
We need to unnerf it?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Exactly. We need to put a better, a higher tension spring in there, and we also have to get rid of it has a limiter in there on how far you can cock it.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll do research into what one is the best to unnerf.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rejected.
Oh no, we voted. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
All right, majority.
Nay.
The ayes have it.
Nay. There's like 80 nays in there.
Do you want it to be airsoft? We can make it airsoft.
You know what? That's a good idea. Let's just go to airsoft.
That actually hurts. You can take somebody's eye out with that.
Oh, that might hurt equipment too.
See,
if
it's
we
a
get
fire
nasty,
hazard.
if we get a nasty ricochet.
Thank you.
All
It's
right,
a fire hazard.
I mean, you're going to have to be careful with the Nerf gun.
I have good aim. You'd be surprised.
Health code violation.
If Overwatch was IRL, I'd do a lot better.
Is this the definition of a hostile work environment? I think it kind of is.
No, it's Nerf.
Go fuck yourself.
Okay.
Starts furiously masturbating.
Turn his camera off.
It's funny because it's true. A streamer playing Resident Evil 7 almost broke the speedrun record, missing it by a matter of minutes. But what's impressive, though, is that he was doing the run using only a knife. Now, the run has had its validity called into question, as the PC streamer may have modded the damage the knife does. That said, I've seen what the knife can do in RE7, and frankly, I believe it.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Now, here's what's also crazy. Apparently, the day after this story hit, he did it again with no deaths and beat his... Well, with no deaths, I would assume he beat his fast time. But yeah.
Wow.
That is ridiculous.
That's insane.
He is the true man without fear.
Clearly modded knife damage.
Well, okay, even if the knife is modded for damage in the Madhouse, which is like the top difficulty, it puts the items you need for like progression in different spots.
Yeah, it has an element of randomness.
Yeah,
to where
so you
items
can't
are.
just be like, oh, this is here, like memorize where everything is exactly. So the fact that he was still able to do it on Madhouse without dying and still beating his time, which is, I think, the fastest time as well, is still pretty insane.
Can I just say, everything that I learn about Resident Evil 7 impresses the shit out of me.
You ever gonna play it on stream?
I mean,
if you had the time.
If I had the time, like I definitely would consider playing it on stream, but right now is pretty booked up. So
Yeah, RE7's been super impressive. I cannot wait for the first story expansion for this.
Joe Never in the Fails, or Joe Never in the Fails.
In the Fails? Is that his band, Joe Never in the Fails?
That would be awesome. And the chat says that we should go with the Titman 98 Custom with frozen paintballs, because then Fat would learn. He'd learn real quick.
That would hurt.
Frozen paintballs? Ow.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
That would hurt real bad.
The only thing I'd be concerned with is I don't think they'd stay frozen long in this studio.
No. We got a nice layer of duck butter going on.
Oh, why is that? Ugh.
That is so gross.
So disgusting.
Yeah.
Did you say man crush?
It is gross. It's taint sweat, if you were wondering.
Thanks, we know.
Yeah.
I know you guys know, but I didn't know if they knew. So
I
had
can
to
say
tell them.
I didn't know.
Well, now you do.
Well,
Now I unfortunately do.
now you can suffer with the rest
You
of us.
can't unknow that.
No, you really can't.
Duck butter? What the?
Lick my balls!
Oh, God. Notorious BL3 says boy butter. That's even worse.
Oh, what the fuck?
The alliteration makes it terrible. See, but here's the thing. Now that I acknowledged it out loud, all three of you want to do is itch your balls. That's all anyone wants to do in this room.
Thanks to
Not really,
Thanks to
no.
the no itch cream. I'm good.
That's all I've been doing.
Oh, my God. Everyone loves Atari games, but if you want to look really cool...
Do they? Do they?
Everyone, of course.
Really?
Does anyone not love
Yes.
Atari? Did you hate Atari games?
I mean,
Did you hate Pac-Man?
there was a point that Atari started making really, really awful games.
All right, everyone loves the Atari classics. But if you want to look really cool, you'll play them on your wrist.
Fuck off.
A new smartwatch called the Game Band has 20 Atari classics preloaded
Hell
on
yeah.
it, all recoded to be optimized for the smaller display. The watch can also take a 256 gig micro SD card to expand storage and add more games. You can pledge $99 on Kickstarter to reserve yours, which is expected to ship in September.
You know, the fact
Wow.
the fact
Kind of cool. I don't know.
the fact that you can put a larger memory card into this than you can to the fucking Vita says a lot. Like I think the largest Vita memory card is 64 gigs.
How?
Jesus,
And even-
did you even try?
And
That's pretty big, though. but-
it's pretty big, but it costs like $150. Like, it's insane how much it
Yeah.
costs.
I gotta ask, the entire Atari library, there's no way that fills 256 gigs, right?
No,
Like,
no way.
That's not even going to fill 1 gig.
Yeah, like, why would you ever need that much space?
Well, you can have
Well,
multiple
maybe you can
versions.
put other stuff on there later. Like
Can you
they're
put
gonna
NES games on? Even then, like, how? Like, you'd have to get to N64 before you started worrying about filling up 256 gigs,
Well,
right?
I'm sure you could put other things on it, like music and
Porn.
Or porn.
Or porn.
Just so you know, 64 gig memory card for the Vita, $89.95.
Wow.
How much?
$89.95.
Holy cow.
Yeah, consider that the next time you go pick up some fucking memory. Because I just bought an SD card, like a 64 gig SD card for like $13.
Oh, well, you know, that's much better.
Ooh, fuck you, Sony.
Man, you know the best thing about the days where like you needed memory cards for stuff was stealing your friend's memory card and making him think that he'd lost it. Did nobody else do that?
No.
You're a monster.
You're an awful person.
You used to steal people's memory cards to make them think they lost it.
I had this one friend. It was the same one that me and him got into a fight. He was playing my FF7. I was playing his FF9, and we got mad at each other for something and started spoiling the game for each other. And I think it culminated in me stealing his memory card. And when he was like, "Did I leave it over here?" I'm like, "No, dude. I looked everywhere for it. I don't know what you did with it."
You're the worst person
I gave it back
ever.
to him eventually.
The worst person ever.
You're a monster.
You
guys suck!
I won that fight, by the way.
You did.
Did ya?
And you lost a friend.
No, he's still my friend.
Even today, he's still your friend?
Oh, yeah, he sure is.
Does he listen to the show?
No. Maybe. I don't know.
You can do better, whoever you are.
Jake, if you listen to this show, let me know.
Come on, Jake.
He's just going to slug you the next time.
Jake, stand up for yourself, man.
Seriously.
Oh, my God.
You're the worst person ever.
Even you have to admit you do tend to overreact to stuff.
I just think at an early age I was living off misery.
I always figured that drop was going to be used for me.
Yeah.
I just assumed that when I put it in that this one's going to apply to me.
That's why I don't give it to you.
He still
'Cause
finds
you
a way to surprise
expect it.
us.
You can't just slip it in whenever you want. You gotta do it when you're not noticing.
South Korean women are rallying behind Diva, who in-game is a pro gamer representing her country. She serves as a symbol to a group called For Diva, promoting gender equality and pro gaming in South Korea.
And also Doritos and Mountain Dew.
And also Doritos and Mountain Dew. Now, this is cool because especially in South Korea, like pro gamers there's no women pro gamers in South Korea. So
None? Zero?
I won't say zero.
Are you sure of that?
Fine, there's 4.
Even
source that. No, I'm kidding.
Thank you. It's extremely rare. I guess I will say there's 0. But they think it's really cool to have a character like Diva come out of Overwatch.
We do a show about esports, right?
Yes.
We probably couldn't say that on esports.
Do your job!
We couldn't say that over on Checkpoint because I don't know that.
Okay.
100% true.
We actually reported earlier on I think
None?
the beginnings of this story during the Women's March. We had reported a story where Diva's symbol was on a flag that could be seen in a bunch of different pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no shit.
And it's really popular over in South Korea right now.
Mm-hmm. That's neat.
You know what else is popular in South Korea?
Oh, God.
Do your job!
Doing your job and your research.
Not for you.
That's not my job.
Well, no, not research. Doing your job.
Oh, doing my job is my job?
Where were you last week?
I was out in the fucking main room because you kicked me out there.
And why did we kick you out there?
Because I was
Do your job!
doing my job.
You weren't.
I was doing my job perfectly.
No, you weren't. You were awful. Terrible. Literally the worst.
No, you.
In a rapid-fire interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, we learned that Link's last name is...
God.
Brace yourself. Link.
God!
It appears to be a running joke at Nintendo to give their characters awful last names. We also learned that Link isn't human and that the original design document for Zelda was titled Adventure Mario.
Greatest conversation ever.
So
Link
wait
is
a
a
hang on.
Hylian. We know that he's not a human. That's
So wait a minute. Hang on. So his name is Link.
That's correct.
Yeah.
either that or Link has always been his last name and we've never known his first name.
No, his name is Link now.
But I'm supposed to hang on. I'm supposed to take seriously the triple timeline theory that this game like honestly that undercuts any kind of actual lore building that you've been doing through your franchise. And I mean, people have gone to great lengths to try to connect every game in the series.
Yeah.
They even wrote a book about how to do that. It just seems really stupid to then go, oh yeah, his name's Link.
It's no worse than Mario and
Luigi Mario.
Mario.
I'd actually be curious to know Peach's last name, but then I'm afraid they're going to be like,
No, her name is Peach Toadstool.
Yeah, Toadstool.
Yeah, duh. You stupid idiot.
I think it would have been funnier if her name was Princess Peach. She's not a princess. That's just her
It's
name.
her name.
She's Princess of the Mushroom Kingdom, you idiot.
Oh my God!
Fucking
no! I would have. I'm with Robbie.
So what's Zelda's last name? Is she Zelda?
No, she's Zelda Hyrule.
Is she?
Is she?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's the Hyrule
I always
Kingdom.
assumed it would be something
Okay,
like that.
yet Arthur is king of Camelot.
Yeah,
It's not
Arthur,
his-
Arthur Camelot.
It's not his last name.
Once you become king, that becomes your last name.
You become a Camelot?
Yes.
The Queen of England. Her name is Elizabeth England.
Yes, that's how royalty works. Do you not know anything?
God.
I'm ready to kick him off the show again.
But there are a lot of
idiots.
fantasy stories, though, where the country is named after the royal family.
Yeah, that happens. That does not make fat right, though.
Very few things do, fortunately.
I don't know. I always assumed her last name was Hyrule, but
I guess maybe, but
I never thought about what her last name was.
Yeah, it never
She's
really
just
occurred to me.
Zelda.
This isn't just so painfully stupid to anyone else that it just makes you go, oh, I officially don't give a fuck about Zelda anymore.
Well, I don't care about Link anymore.
Well, okay, so you don't care about the main character?
They could have also just said that, oh, you know what? In Hyrule, they don't have last names. He's just Link.
Yeah, they just call him Link. That's way
would've
better.
I would have been totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. But no, he goes, Link.
Except, no, there are last names in Zelda because of the Lon Lon Ranch with Mal and Talon.
Right.
They're all Lon Lons.
no.
Well, actually, no. I think
That's not true. The second part of their name is Lon. It's not part of their last name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're Malon, Talon. That's their name.
Malon, Lon Lon.
No, that's not their name.
You know, that actually might be, considering they said they like giving stupid names to their characters. He probably is Malin Lon Lon.
No, I like the idea that they don't have last names. There's 150 people who live in this whole kingdom. Why do you need last names?
So
because
stupid. It's stupid. It's so
for those
dumb.
two people that do have the same name.
Yeah. Well, no.
Like someone else is probably going to be named Link in the future, and then you have Link and Link.
We know someone's going to be named Link in the future because we have the timeline that tells us that there's going to be someone else named Link in the future.
Names.
So now I need to know there's Link the first, Link the second, the third, and so on.
Oh, God.
Great.
No, he's only referring to one specific Link, and that's the Link in Legend of Zelda 2 for NES.
Oh, well, what are the other Link's last names?
Well, wait, what is Linkle's last name? Linkle?
Oh, God.
No, it's Linkle Link. Duh.
Linkle
Link. And sister.
Linkle Link. No, she's just an alternate timeline version that's not canon at all because she's only in Hyrule Warriors.
This is awful. Anyway, we've discussed the casting of Scarlet.
That was a huge waste of time.
It literally was.
You know, there's some of these articles where I type them on here and I think, like, we're going to get 10 minutes out of this. And other ones where I think I'll just be able to go right into the next article. I did not have that one pegged for 5 minutes.
40 minutes later.
Yeah. We've discussed the casting of Scarlett Johansson as the Major in the upcoming Ghost in the Shell movie before. And while the whitewashing topic was a big one, we hadn't heard from ScarJo herself. She's finally spoken out on the controversy, saying she would never want to play a character if she felt it was offensive to do so. She stated that it was rare to have a strong female protagonist driving a movie in Hollywood, and that was not an opportunity she wanted to miss. But if the case had been that she was taking the role away from an Asian actress already cast, she wouldn't have done it.
That's I guess, an interesting take, and
but I feel like this is the easiest way to brush off that conversation.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, I feel like she could have taken so much better of a stance on that, actually being the person in that role. And it's not just like, well, if I felt it was an Asian character, I wouldn't have done it. Okay, but your name is literally Motoko Kusanagi.
Except you're focusing on just one aspect of that. First of all, the easiest thing would have been not to comment on it, because at this point, she could have done that. And you're literally taking one part of what she said, okay? They didn't have, like, if she would have, like, turned down and said, nah, I'm not going to do it, because you guys have blah, blah, blah in the second row, who's actually an Asian actress, they didn't have anybody else. Had they not chose her, they probably would have got some other white actress to do it anyway.
And I mean, that's an easy thing to say in the abstract, too. Well, if they had already cast an Asian actress, I wouldn't have taken the role away. That's easy to say.
Sure.
Like...
No, but I think that's a good point, Robbie, that, like, every indication is that they wanted to cast someone who the studio thought looked like
if
the anime.
If ScarJo can't do it, let's get Jennifer Lawrence. You know, I'd much rather have ScarJo, as much as I love Jennifer Lawrence.
I mean, yeah, like, I think I
But how would she say, though, that she doesn't think that it's offensive, I don't know, to play a character whose literal name is Motoko Kusanagi, but no, she's not supposed to be Asian?
Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. Her appearance, it's always been up for debate whether or not the actual character was Asian.
Oh, of course, I know that because she's a cyborg, but
not just that though. I mean, there's the whole, like, it's an actual theme of Ghost in the Shell about who is the actual identity of Motoko Kusanagi.
Oh, of course.
I mean, like, right down to readers don't know, fans of the series don't know whether or not the actual Kusanagi is male or female. That's been left up for debate. You know, like, and so if you have a question down, like, really all that is you're literally talking like, okay, who looks the most like the exoskeleton that they built in the anime? You know what I mean? And, like, I think the visual aesthetic is really, really important to the film. I mean, they're definitely doing some really, really specific things, making very specific visual choices with this movie to be able to, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen the film, but if I had to speculate, to elicit the feeling that Ghost in the Shell made you feel the first time you watched it.
I went and saw John Wick 2 the other night, and on the way into the theater, I finally saw, like, my first, like, poster for Ghost in the Shell, and it had a picture of ScarJo as a Major. And yeah, as soon as I looked at it, I thought, oh, it's the Major from Ghost in the Shell. She looks the part.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I've said the entire time, is that she looks like the Major. Like,
I don't disagree with you at all. I just feel like from what I hear also, they're not going to be calling her Motoko Kusanagi at all in the movie, and they're only going to be calling her the Major. And to me,
weird.
That seems like a blatant attempt to hide the whitewashing by the scriptwriter. But Just
that would be a weird choice to not ever call her by her name.
Yeah.
When
I mean, in the show, they called her the Major more often than
it is a pretty common name for her. But I mean, like, if it's never once brought up, or it's not like
seen on a document or
something like that. Yeah, that would be fucking weird.
See, one of the things that I can really appreciate about this whole dynamic, this dialogue with Ghost in the Shell, is that this whole thing isn't just existing outside of the movie and the whole whitewashing aspect. Like, these same questions fit within the narrative of Ghost in the Shell. Like, you really want to talk about whitewashing and misappropriating culture? Why don't we look at Iron Fist from Marvel's Netflix, or The Great Wall with Matt Damon? Okay?
I have different feelings on that one,
you can
because
get
that
upset
one was
about.
made by a Chinese film studio wanting to appeal to America by casting an American actor.
And that's
Really?
and it's actually
that was China. That was not a Hollywood movie. That was a Chinese.
So if the Chinese are whitewashing themselves, it's okay?
No, but I mean, like, it's an actual plot point that he's brought in
that
from...
he's foreign. That he's a foreign demon hunter. That was part of their plot. Granted, it is definitely a cheap ploy, and it bothers a lot of American Chinese for sure. But the fact that it was made in China and that was their whole ideal, it's a little bit less whitewashing, because, you know, obviously the whitewashing is that in America they're a minority and their culture is being erased from media. But in China, there's pretty much only Chinese people in China, so it's not quite the same.
But when you're trying to, I mean, because clearly they're marketing the marketing around this film, it's for a Western, like, it's going to be in theaters in the United States. It's a Chinese company that's trying to find an audience and find a market in the U.S., and they went with a U.S. actor, and that's smart. Like, that makes sense. They wrote it in as a part of the plot, and I don't think, you know, like, it's complete. I think that is completely different. Like, the context for that is completely different than Hollywood taking a movie and or a story and then adapting it to make the main character white. Last Samurai is a perfect example of that with Tom Cruise, and it was done so ham-fistedly that most people are looking at it like, yeah, this is fucking stupid.
Boy, was it.
And those types of things are very obvious. They're very they're very easy to sniff out. This is, I think, a lot different, because it is actually a part of the narrative. Like, that's part of the meta conversation of Ghost in the Shell is, you know, the shell that you inhabit. Like, that's the title. The fucking title is Ghost in the goddamn Shell. Like, how is this even a part of the conversation? It seems weird, because if you were going to say, hey, let's make a Ghost in the Shell movie, who are the top 10 people that you would put in it? I think ScarJo would be somewhere in that fucking running, man. Like, it's not that much of a surprise, and that people are making such a big deal about this. I just don't think I don't think it's justified.
That if they could have cast an Asian actor who's because I think what they're going for is they're trying to bring an anime movie to the mainstream by casting a well-known actress, where I think what would have been better is, because Ghost in the Shell is such a well-known anime anyway, that they should have picked the lesser-known Asian actress and then brought her to the forefront instead of using someone who's already well established.
I disagree, because look how much publicity this has given the movie, and as we've said, this whole thing even works into the subtones and stuff that the actual anime talks about.
What other live action anime adaptation has worked in the West? Has there been one?
I don't know.
Avatar: The Last
don't even. But that was a Western cartoon to start with.
Hold on, didn't the Attack on Titan movie do?
What about Dragon Ball Z?
The Attack on Titan movie was a Japanese movie.
Okay, when you have that at stake, like when you have a concept or a genre film that you have that has no track record for success, you've got to be able to sell a studio on making the fucking thing. So the studio is going to want, that's part of the business. No one is going to take a chance on Ghost in the Shell, a visually striking sci-fi flick that has nobody recognizable in it.
Yeah, no, you're not. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that casting her was a smart business choice, but I think that the fact of whitewashing in Hollywood is a big issue, and I think that this could have gone either way. So I
don't disagree with you that it is a big issue, but I think that you got to be careful when conflating things. Like you got to be careful of conflating things, because I don't think that this is as applicable an argument as something like The Last Samurai, or other really obvious, because it still happens. It does happen.
Gods of Egypt.
Okay, there's a yes.
That's a terrific example.
Exactly. Prince of Persia was another one. The Jake Gyllenhaal casting
Prince
got
of Persia.
that got a lot.
I have different feels on that one too, though. Like, he looks pretty much exactly like the character.
I mean,
and I can tell you that my
so does
Persian family,
ScarJo.
Yeah, so does ScarJo.
Yeah, I know. But my Persian family loved the movie, so all I can say is wait until the movie comes out. That's what I'm waiting, and I'm going to see it.
But you're gonna tell me. Hang on, you're gonna tell me that they didn't do any darkening to Jake Gyllenhaal's skin for that film? I mean, they definitely
Persian people
did.
are white.
Well, but they accentuated features for Jake Gyllenhaal that he doesn't normally have in all of his films.
Plus, I didn't realize that if the culture who the movie came from, if they like the movie, that means that it's no longer whitewashed.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that the people, the issue with a lot of the whitewashing arguments is that the people who are arguing it are not even the people from the culture. Like, a lot of white people are screaming whitewashing.
SJWs and armchair activists. Yeah.
What is your deal with calling me a racist?
I didn't realize that Nika wasn't white. Guys, I just learned something new.
What? I'm white.
Nika's not white. Oh my gosh. I'm just kidding.
Hey Nate, can I ask you a question?
What's that?
Do you ever see Steve Bannon and then want to throw up?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, like when he talks, you kind of get that greasy feeling when he talks.
Oh,
like boy butter.
He's the
Threw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's the worst person ever.
Yeah, well, we might have found out one of the reasons you get those awful feelings when you hear him talk or you see him. A Wired article from last year reveals that one of his oldest jobs was as the CEO of a gold farming company in World of Warcraft. That's right. We've got RMT ridiculous. As our Attorney General.
Oh my.
Look, this is, people could have found this out before the election. I'm just saying, if you voted for Trump, that means that you voted for RMT. You approve of RMT. You support RMT. Whether you know it or not, you definitely have supported RMT. So, if you play any MMO, you should do the responsible thing and delete your character, delete your account, and then promptly light yourself on fire.
Your computer as well. Just, take all the evidence with you.
No. Just light yourself on fire.
I don't think I've ever seen an article on this show where I so quickly went, well, of course he was.
I mean, it just makes sense.
Of course. Oh, was he paid? He paid 50 cents an hour for people to farm gold for him? I believe that.
What a slimy cunt.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ugh.
During Blizzard's Q4 earnings call, we got an interesting tidbit of information dropped.
Yeah.
They specifically mentioned branching into linear media with Overwatch. Now, while that could mean any number of things, the likely candidate would be a television series for the game.
Overwatch anime!
No.
No.
Oh, it's because that would just, I could just see Fat throwing himself off a building.
That would be so
It's really
awful.
funny because when I linked this to a friend, someone had put up fan art of Overwatch Academy, which was so anime, and I linked that to him as well, and I think he promptly killed himself.
Yeah, no, Overwatch is adapted into a slice of life anime.
Now, what's really cool is that apparently Activision already has a deal through Netflix with, I guess they have a Skylander show, which is doing well. It's just been renewed for its 3rd season. So if something like this were to actually come through, I think that there's very strong reasoning that it would be a Netflix show that would pop up.
Okay, but I mean, is this, as an Overwatch fan, is this the kind of thing that you want? Because as I understand it, a lot of the coolest things about Overwatch are the kind of little things that you find in the dialogue in terms of character interaction, or just like Dark Souls, how a part of a level will give you some kind of context into what's going on, and I sort of feel like a narrative would strip that away.
In a sense, yes, you would obviously lose that with some people. I mean, when you have 25 million people playing, and obviously you'd have a lot more people watching that probably, you are going to upset some people. But I think that when they release certain shorts or when they release certain comics, you already have that happen. Case in point, Tracer having a girlfriend.
Sure.
That upset a lot of people, right?
Right.
But I also think what would be really cool, and I could totally see Blizzard doing this as well, is if what they decided or how they decided to write the narrative is if they relied on fans in a way, taking either strong parts from the fandom, or even when it came to certain episodes or maybe series finales where they put out like a poll or a vote, what do you think's going to happen? Who do you think's, blah, 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 stuff like that.
Didn't the Overwatch devs at one point say that they weren't going to address their character's sexuality directly, and then they end up backpedaling on that with something like the Tracer comic?
I don't think that's exactly what they said. Is that one of the reasons that they didn't want to put a story mode into the game was they liked the idea of leaving certain narrative elements up to the imagination and seeing how the different fans and different parts of the fandoms filled in the blanks themselves.
I mean, it does inspire the most ridiculous fan art I think I've seen out of
Mercy
any community.
With Genji, please, guys. That was a completely professional patient-victim relationship.
Blizzard is pushing that really hard.
You think so?
They're pushing it so hard.
Are they?
They are.
I thought it was a total fan thing.
They're pushing it so hard. No, the fans don't want Mercy with Genji. They want Mercy with Pharah.
What? I didn't hear that, dude. In the Overwatch Academy thing, it had Genji like holding Mercy, like as they were like jumping through the air.
The Academy thing is one thing.
I did not hear Mercy Fair. I've never seen that.
Oh my god,
the amount
Pharma Mercy?
No.
The amount. Oh my god, the amount of ships.
Oh my!
The amount of ships that this game inspires is ridiculous.
This is why you're stuck in bronze. Okay.
This is fuck you.
Oh my god! I don't know. I think that in a way that ends up in the long term, like what they have right now with their community is sort of like a beautiful balance.
It is. No,
because they've got a great game, hands down, and they've got so much hype going on around the game that it's like, I feel like if you give people more than what they're already getting, that they're going to start to get spoiled, and some of those people who become dissatisfied with some of the plot decisions will end up falling off, and the game will end up falling off.
You're wrong. That's not a risk, or that is a risk that would pop up.
So I mean, I'm not sure that this is the greatest idea. I can understand why people are hyped for it, but at the end of the day, they may end up being a lot more disappointed than they think they will be.
Looking at the fans they have, what do you think about the possibility of potentially bringing in more people because of it?
I think that if you're going to bring in anyone at that point, it's just going to be younger kids. Like unless it was presented... you'd have to make some really, really bold choices to be able to present that for kids and adults.
There's also the idea that the show that they make isn't centered on the Overwatch characters specifically, but it's more some type of tertiary extended universe thing, introducing new characters that way and not touching the main continuity or something.
I think that'd be terrible.
Yeah, I don't think that would survive.
I don't think anyone would be interested in watching that. Although, there is that whole backstory that everyone wants to know all of the backstories, but it just seems like I don't know.
Junkrat May, get out of here, Taco. That is disgusting.
Look, I'm just saying, at what point, do you start getting information about each one of these characters and then hit a midichlorian point where fans just go, "This is so stupid."
Someone else just brought up though. They said Shield for Overwatch, because Shield's doing very successfully, and that is essentially what it is for the MCU.
I don't know, man. It seems I sort of feel like S.H.I.E.L.D. has become a way for the C- squad to come out, because they pulled out what fucking Ghost Rider, that was never a character that moved a ton of comics. That was a C- character at best. The movies never moved the needle.
Right.
Nicolas Cage was hilarious, but the movies never moved the needle.
And yet the show is doing fantastic, and the Ghost Rider stuff was actually really good.
I
except for a stupid car. Fuck that.
Yeah, the fact that they put him in a car, I think, is kind of dumb.
Oh my god, was it Robbie Reyes?
It was Robbie Reyes. Yeah.
Oh.
But I definitely fell off after the last season. I never went. I am so disinterested by the character. I don't ever see myself going back for it.
That's too bad. Ghost Rider was just a story arc. He's gone now.
Right.
Ghost Rider was so bad.
I liked it. I liked how they actually found a way to sort of low-key connect it back to the movies too.
Really?
They did. When it was actually showing how he became Ghost Rider, the Ghost Rider he saw before the powers were transferred to him was spitting image, the CGI version of Nicolas Cage from the movie that they used. He was he was on a bike and everything. Yeah,
that's awesome. Actually,
that's kind of cool. Yeah, so I don't know. The show could go either way. It could be all right, but.
The NBA is going to be partnering with Take-Two Interactive Software to be creating a NBA 2K esports league. This is going to be a season-long model basically after the regular NBA. It's our main topic of discussion today. But first, for more on the news and other stories, visit our blog at finalencountercast.com.
Wow, that was a messy discussion.
I was going to say, I'm like, crap, wasn't this our discussion topic?
What the fuck happened there?
I bit my tongue midway through that, and it really hurts.
Nice excuse. That's at least it's unique. I don't hear that one very often.
You want to see the mark?
No, I really.
Ow.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He bit the shit out of that tongue.
You know, it'd be awful if he went and showed me and I just spit in his mouth.
He'd probably get off on that.
Hey, show me again.
Except he'd have mono.
I already had mono.
It's not like chicken pox.
You can have mono again.
You can get it again, dipshit.
I don't think so. That's what my doctor
you can.
said.
You can.
No, if you get mono again, then you should have dye.
It's lethal the second time.
The fact that you bit your tongue so hard, I'd hate to be your boyfriend.
I'd hate for you to be my boyfriend too.
That's not you say off camera.
Eat my dick! That's what he says off camera. Anyway, so let's talk about the NBA Take-Two Interactive partnership. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
This is a big deal. I mean, this is, I think, one of the largest mainstream sports league investments in the concept of esports. Take-Two Interactive, obviously a lot of good products coming out of that company, but mainly the 2K line is what they're going to be relying on for specifically this league. And some of the specifics about the league are really interesting because in some ways this is sort of similar to what the Overwatch League had set up. So, Callie, why don't you tell us a little bit about the NBA League?
Yep. So it's going to be beginning in 2018. That's their goal. Every franchise in the NBA has shown interest in having representation in the league, though not all of them are expected to, have their team up and running by 2018.
Yeah.
The goal is to have half of them. Half of the league's teams have a esports representation.
So that's, I don't know, how
15
many?
teams.
15?
Yeah, 30 teams in the NBA right now.
Okay.
In addition, so basically the format's going to function just like the NBA. There'll be 5 players. There will be a draft where teams will be able to draft professional esports players to their team. It'll be a 5-month season just like the NBA is.
That's actually really cool.
Yep. And at that point, whoever is drafted, they will be paid a salary. They'll go through training and workouts and practice just like everything an NBA team would, and it'll be their full-time job during the season.
So since I'm sports retarded,
sure.
Explain to me when a player is drafted to to a regular professional league, do they get to negotiate the price that they're signed on for? Who sets that?
Different leagues handle it differently. Like in the NFL, it used to be that whoever, like if you were like the number 1 pick overall, you basically had the team on the hook for a ton of money. The Lions suffered from that 3 years, 3 times. Nowadays, there is a set cap based on where you're drafted at the most you can make, so it's a lot easier to negotiate in at that point.
Okay.
I imagine the NBA will follow a similar model. The NBA has a salary cap. You can't go over it. You can only have so much, and this league is presumed to function the same way, where you'll have a salary cap, and you'll only be able to pay your players as much as that cap is, and you can't go over it.
Interesting. I mean, again, though, that having more organization for this is not a bad thing. I think it's the lack of oversight that has really allowed some players specifically to be really exploited by either management or some really shady team owners. Fortunately, it doesn't happen that often, but it is a problem that some professional esports athletes have been very outspoken about.
Yeah, we still need a lot of details on how it's going to all play out before we get there in 2018, but what we would presume is that players who are interested in competing will declare for the draft, saying, I want to be in as part of this. There'll be a combine or a series of combines where players will show up and practice and show off what they're able to do. They'll try out for teams and whatnot.
Makes sense, yeah.
And then the teams will all get to draft their players.
Now, hold on. Isn't NBA 2K, is that, like, when you have a team, you have multiple people playing? I thought that was just like a single player game or like a 1v1 type game where you control the whole team.
In the newer models or versions of the game, I believe you can have a 5v5.
Okay, so here's the one thing that I worry about, okay? Obviously, NBA 2K is a popular game, right? But is it League of Legends popular? Is it CS:GO popular? What I'm afraid is going to happen is, the ENBA, we're going to call it, gets established, right? And, as the season goes on or near season's end, they look at some of the numbers. They look at the profits that the bigger things like, that Counter-Strike Go or that League of Legends is making, and they think, this wasn't as profitable as what we thought it was. They abandon it, and so now any other big actual sports leagues that were looking into investing in some way, be it their actual game like Madden or 2K or whatever, or outside into like Overwatch or something, thinks, you know what? The NBA tried that with the ENBA, and it wasn't profitable, and they start to wash their hands of it.
Well, possible, but like on the other side of that, you might have traditional sports fans see this league that is like they already know how it works. It's based off the NBA. If you watch NBA basketball, you can figure out how this esports league is going to work. It's going to be the same format. They may tune into that, and they may get an even bigger following than what they expect.
I don't know. I think Robbie's actually kind of hitting on something here, because I think the appeal of Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends or Dota 2 is far different than watching a game of basketball. And I have to be honest, I mean, I'd sit down and watch Street Fighter. I'll sit down and watch League of Legends. 2K anything is not high on that list. Like sitting down and watching Madden, sitting down and watching NBA 2K, that's not terribly high on my list.
I'd rather watch real basketball or real football than watch video games of them.
I kind of agree.
Video games like that just don't. I don't know. I also don't understand. Like, real sports fans love the game so much too. And it just seems like it's just a cheap version of the actual sport.
I feel like they'd actually rather just play than sit and watch somebody else play. I think that's a harder ask when you try to put a traditional sport around it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying there aren't people that would watch it. Obviously, there must be enough interested in it for them to consider doing this.
Sure.
But at the end of the year, when you take your profits, you take your viewers, you take all your numbers, and you put them up next to where you want to be, and let's be honest, you don't ever just make up your own goals. Like, you're aiming to be the top dog. You're going to look to see what Riot's doing with League or, what they're doing with Counter-Strike, with Overwatch. You're going to want those numbers. And if you don't have those numbers, what are you going to think? It didn't work. How are we going to change it? What else are we going to do? I just hope that they have enough foresight if this doesn't work out to understand why it didn't work out and not just be like, no, esports aren't the future.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a lot of concerns with it being connected to traditional sports franchises. Although, when I have a lot of conversations with people about esports, the first time you mention esports, they're like, yeah, I really like playing FIFA. Like, that's where their head goes and that's initially.
The 2K series, Madden, FIFA, those games all sell incredibly well. That's why they come out year after year after year after year.
Right.
And there is a market for these things, and people who play, even people who play basketball, play 2K.
But I'm not sure that that this league is asking the fundamental question: why are people tuning in to watch? What are people tuning in to watch? Like, and what is actually driving that? And I think that titles do have an effect on that. I mean, when. Yes, a great display of athleticism or a great display of skill is a great display of skill across the board. And you can't really take that away from anyone. But by the same measure, though, like, we all know that there are titles that you're just like, it could be the most impressive thing in the world. I'll watch it on a replay as opposed to in real time.
Right.
And I think that that's an important question to ask yourself. What are people going to invest that long-term time into? And I just don't know that, people watch 90 minutes of a basketball game and then what? They want to go watch e-basketball? Like, it feels like they could watch more basketball. Like, there's so much basketball that they could be watching or consuming.
There's always more basketball.
You know what I mean?
Right. I kind of wish Norris was here. He's both into watching, like, soccer, and he loves FIFA games, too. Like, he could give us some good insight on this. I don't like basketball's never been my sport.
Right.
I've never really cared about it. If it were football, if there was the NFL doing this, I've appreciated Madden games. I would tune in to watch that.
Because I just looked up NBA 2K17, the top channel right now, in 1,400 people. The top channel for Madden NFL 17, 345 people. Dare we look and see what the top channel for League is doing right now?
Well,
League's the number one game on Twitch.
Yeah, but it's
way higher. Yeah, I gotcha.
But that's the thing is that like games like that.
CS:GO, 19,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost incomparable. Like it's incomparable. That's the word I was looking for. It's incomparable.
Uncomparable, Lee.
There you go. Thank you, retard.
You're welcome, Daddy.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a totally valid question.
Mm-hmm.
That and the thing is I would actually be really interested in this. I would be much more interested in this if it wasn't attached to the 2K line. If it wasn't attached to trying to push basketball video game units.
If it was dodgeball?
Yeah, no, if they were making like Counterwatch, Overwatch or Counter-Strike or anything.
Absolutely, that would be way better.
Yeah, I would be much more interested in that because what the NBA brings to the table is the structure. That's what they really bring to the table.
And your money.
Well, that too.
So Nate, did I kind of flip you? Because you were pretty excited about this when you first heard the headline.
I mean, I think that this is a big deal.
Oh, yeah. I definitely mean, a big deal.
No matter what, this is a big deal, and it's a big play for the spotlight. But I think that, the ESL and League and all of these other different, esports leagues have been around long enough and established enough of a foothold, both on Twitch and in mainstream culture, that if the NBA league doesn't end up panning out, I don't think it's going to tank.
You don't think it'll affect the other ones?
I don't think it'll tank esports. I think
no, definitely. Because I mean, they already have enough motion behind them individually that they're doing fine.
Right.
I just think that it kind of doesn't do anything for traditional sports leagues and companies investing in leagues overall. I mean, obviously they're still out there, buying their own teams. Miami Heat buying the Misfits. Was it?
Well, they're just partnering with
the 76ers.
76ers. That was the other one that I was
involved in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, Joe, I know that you obviously the whole esports thing. Hasn't Europe been doing stuff like this with FIFA for a long time? How's it working out for them?
Pretty well, but I mean, again, to compare, we were talking about Twitch numbers, and it's one of our chatters just pointed out. FIFA's the number 5 game on Twitch
exactly.
right now. FIFA does very well,
and that's the thing is that FIFA does very well, and so I think that
12K right now, top channel.
Yeah, like you can't ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ignore that. You can't look at NBA 2K17, see 1,500 max on the top channel, and go, this is probably worth the NBA's investment. Like I'm just not. I'm curious what ended up talking them into that. Like what ended up proving to them, like, this is something that's worth investing in. I mean, there's a whole lot of money in esports, but that's a step further. Like I'm sure that Take-Two just really is trying to push into the esports marketplace, and I mean, not all of them are going to work.
Yeah, I guess my biggest hope from this is that it's marketed alongside other esports such as Counter-Strike, League, Overwatch, Street Fighter. That way, any traditional sports fans that maybe didn't have any kind of passing interest in esports, even if they don't stick around for the ENBA, it gives them access to other esports that they maybe never thought, would be cool to get into. And now they do.
Maybe. I don't know. But I think that this is going to end up taking a whole lot of talent out of other leagues, too. I mean, granted, there's not necessarily a ton of overlap skill-wise with FPS versus, something like a sports game. However, if they make the financial offer attractive enough, you could end up pulling talent over. And, I don't know if the NBA is under the impression that, esports players have massive followings, but I don't think that they have as big a followings as that. Like, I don't think that there's no Michael Jordan talent that you can pull down onto an ENBA team that'll just drive the numbers.
I don't think that you would have to worry about pulling talent, because unless they're paying them like major dollars. We were actually talking before the show where we were talking about a streamer who has something like 8,000 subscribers. He could go pro, But he doesn't because that would actually be cutting into his profit. He makes more money streaming full-time than he could ever dream of making going pro.
Well, and I think part of this, I think their goal is going to be to pull more traditional esports fans or traditional sports fans, people who haven't watched esports, into this. I think people who...
But why, though? Why would you want to try to pull more people into it when you have such a largely untapped audience?
It's all about tapping a new audience. Now, we're not obviously debating the fact that you probably would pull new people into esports.
Well, no, but
this is all about grabbing a new audience.
But I agree with Joe. Like that's very perceptive. That this is trying to grab people who are not already necessarily fans of esports. But if you're the NBA and making a major investment like this, don't you want a little bit more of a surefire thing to, because like that seems like, we're using the NBA to drive the popularity of 2K games and not vice versa. Like it feels like you needed a little bit more gas behind the 2K products and the competitiveness of the 2K products and establishing their legitimacy inside of esports and inside of a competitive arena than you do to be able to put that entertainment aspect into play there. And so, I think that this is really confusing where, if I'm the NBA, I think that I'm going to want to invest in the most visible, trafficked game with the biggest audience out there, not to try to expand the audience for esports, but to get the audience that I'm already not getting in esports. So which is it? Like, what's I think the better play, the smarter play overall is not to try to bring more people into esports, because it's a concept that has to grow on you. No one's gonna see competitive Overwatch and go, that's bullshit, and then see the ENBA and go, oh, well, maybe they got something there. Like, that's not a concept that's going to change your mind. Either you're open to esports or you're not. And why try to change more minds? Why try to get people to jump from one camp to the other when you've got a ready-to-go audience that's already tuning in, by the way, by the millions, as evidenced by that Counter-Strike, the Counter-Strike championship, that are tuning in by the millions to also, by the way, not television, but to Twitch.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you have an entire camp that is largely untapped, that's definitely the smarter play. Now, if people from your other camp double dip, cool, that's great for you as well. But by expanding your audience, that's obviously the smartest play, like, hands down.
How much double dipping is even going? I don't think that there is. Like, that's the thing, is like, I don't see that much double dipping. I do think that Callie, you're absolutely accurate when you say that it's trying to pull more people into esports. But I mean, do you think that that's reasonable? Do you think that that's something that's even accomplishable, especially through like a 2K NBA game?
I think what the NBA is looking at is they see, hey, we already promote the NBA and basketball. It's going to be very easy for us to promote the ENBA version of it. Like, we can do this at the same time. Whereas it's a much bigger ask of our viewership, the people that we have viewing us. It's a much bigger ask for them to say, hey, now care about Overwatch 2. Or something like that. I think they look at it that way.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's right, but if I had to guess, that's what I think they're looking at.
He does have a point here. If you're an NBA fan and you're watching a game and a 2K commercial comes up, whatever. Maybe you have that next to your console. Maybe you don't. Who knows? But if an Overwatch ad shows up, you're probably getting up to get a refill of your Mountain Dew or beer. Bud Light.
But how do you make someone jump the fence into investing into the esport? Because that's the question. You got to have someone who's invested in it.
Well, and I think that's what Take-Two actually gains so much out of with this, is they're going to get so much free publicity on their 2K series. They're probably looking to expand this into a much bigger thing at this point. This could be their opportunity to take the 2K series, which, as we know, it's fine, but it's lesser known than Madden. It's lesser known than most of it, and expand into something humongous.
That's not bad. Yeah, I think that Take-Two probably has the bigger opportunity here than obviously the NBA does.
Well, sure, yeah, because they're the ones making the games. I mean, at the end of the day, any competition that you would have for this is a big 2-hour long commercial for a 2K game. So yeah, they have tons to gain, and I mean that's really like you gotta figure like. the game publishers really love that aspect because they get hours worth of free advertising out of this shit. So, I mean, that's the kind of I think that this is really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this ends up panning out.
2018 will be very fun to watch.
Yeah, and I wonder if they have a television carrier for this already.
Who's the NBA partner with? ESPN, right?
TNT?
TNT, is it?
I want to say it's TNT.
I would assume probably them then.
Callie, you mentioned that in the article, it already talks about how like the NFL is interested in pursuing like similar avenues.
Yeah.
I was any mention of the MLB? Like, do they even have a game?
Oh, fuck off!
The show.
Fuck off.
Yeah, listen, Major
MLB.
League Baseball is
Get out
struggling
of
enough with its viewership. I don't know that they are.
Baseball sucks. Baseball sucks as a sport. Nobody likes baseball.
Well, what about golf?
Can you just cut her mic?
No, I mean the Tiger Woods games and the other golf games do pretty well.
You know that?
No, it's not even Tiger Woods anymore, Nika. It's Rory McIlroy. You got to get with the times.
When people mention golf games, all I think of is the Penny Arcade comic where Gabe took a picture of his balls and used that as the avatar on his golfer.
That's pretty great.
So good.
Oh my god. But like, can you make those things competitive? Like, I don't think you can.
I don't know.
I really don't think you can.
Entertaining and competitive?
No. Baseball's the worst. Like, literally, not even sports fans like baseball. They put baseball on to nap to.
But it's America's favorite pastime.
That's bullshit. It is not.
No, that'd be football.
Violence is America's favorite pastime, and you know it.
Violence at the side of racism.
Violence and hatred. Those are our two favorite things.
Well, we are good at them, that's for sure.
We're so good at them. By the way, guys, so this past week on Thursday, we had the very first episode of Checkpoint premiere. That happened at 10 p.m. Mountain Time over on ESPN Denver, 1600 a.m.
And by the way, going forward, even if you're not in the Denver area, they have a live radio stream that you guys, no matter where you are, you can listen to it. If you watch our social medias, we always put that out there.
That's right. That list of stations is going to continue to grow over the next week. We have 2 cities confirmed, Vancouver and Oklahoma City. So if you happen to live in either one of those cities, you can look forward to Checkpoint possibly this week. I think Vancouver plans to do this week. I think, in fact, they're going to air 2 episodes.
Nice.
Did anyone have the moment as it was coming up on midnight our time where we were going to like, it's not going to play. It's just going to be some other sports show is going to come on.
No, I was worried that it was going to be like a garbled mess of like noise and like the files didn't transfer properly or like a segment was going to be upcut. But no, it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. It was great though. I did wake up at midnight my time and listen to the
you were asleep?
I was because I work at 4:30 in the morning.
You have mono.
Yeah. So yeah, I woke up and listened to it. Had a little moment there because I mean this is
what station in Vancouver? Someone in the chat says they live in Vancouver. Do we know what station?
We can't say officially until we get the paperwork back.
Well, Mr.
Bill
Mardigan, make sure that you're liked and subscribed to all of our various Facebook stuff.
That's right,
social media stuff.
Check PT Radio on Twitter and Facebook. We'll have more information as soon as affiliates become official. But these are 2 cities that we're pretty confident that are going to be locked down and will be airing the show on Thursdays. So you can find out more information. Check PT Radio on Twitter and Facebook and checkpointradio.com on the web. We'll be posting stuff there as well. So we have gotten a lot of questions about whether or not we're going to be podcasting this and how we're going to be podcasting this. So we're up against a couple of issues. The first is music licensing. We use a lot of music in the show that we don't have the license to duplicate or to distribute. So with that being a known issue, there's definitely some edits that we're going to have to make to some of the music that we use in the show to make it podcastable. That's going to take time, and we've already been planning on sort of like a 4 or 5 day delay between the broadcast window and when we would post it as a podcast. We're not in entirely sure if it's gonna, like, the entire show is gonna make its way onto the website, or if we're gonna do it in segments. I'm actually kind of a fan of doing it in segments. Like, I think that there are a couple, like when we have a good interview, like the Miss Harvey interview, when we have the esports news and the gaming news segments, I think that those are 3 easily podcastable segments that we can change the music on very easily.
You know what? I'm a fan of that idea too, because then people can kind of pick and choose based on like the headline or the topic what they want to listen to. That's actually really cool.
But the thing is, though, is I don't know if we're going to do that for the whole show, because part of me wants to go. It wants to give people a reason to tune in, because what I'd like to see, what I'd love to hear in terms of a response from the stations who are agreeing to air our show is, oh my God, the amount of web traffic that we got during your show is amazing. Or, those are really important aspects. Like, that's a metric that they can use right away to tell whether or not the show is gaining traction. And so, especially early on, I think it sort of undercuts our point to release the whole show as a podcast, even a week later. It may be something that we're open to down the line, but I think that we're going to do specific segments that we want to highlight and that we want people to hear, the SAG-AFTRA conversation, stuff like that, and then hold back the other segments and try to encourage people to tune in live or to tune into these web streams.
Yeah, because actually one of the things that I was doing when we were listening to it, because I was streaming at the same time, was having people open it up. And even if you're not listening to it, just have it open in your browser, because that shows people, hey, they're bringing traffic to us.
Yeah, our hope is that Denver looks at that and says, like, whoa, we had a lot of people streaming this online.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's, we'd like to make that kind of impression. And being that, you guys are located all over the place and can't necessarily listen to a Denver radio station because you don't live anywhere near there, it is, most of these radio stations do have some kind of streaming presence.
Yeah, I mean, try to put yourself in the position of those, guys who own the Denver radio, and imagine opening up your analytics and 300-400 people are tuning in from Europe.
Right.
When they were never there before. Why is that happening?
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of, again, I think it sort of undercuts our point, and I think, at least I hope, that explaining that is it helps encourage some people to tune in, because we get a ton of support from you guys. In fact, the entire show is listener supported, and we are so thankful and appreciative of your support. But when we talk about non-financial, non-material ways that you can support the show, this is exactly what we're kind of talking about.
This is the big one.
And it does, I feel a little bit bad holding back content from people, but at the same time, I think that gives people a really good reason beyond just liking us or liking what we do here with FEC or LBR. Giving them a reason to hit play. I think that it does more in the end for the actual show. It's that whole idea of exclusivity. We've talked about digital exclusivity before, but this is sort of format exclusivity. We want to give it to you in little pieces, and we want you to invest yourself in the product. That's the end goal. But we want you to invest yourself enough that you're willing to make the time to sit down and turn on that web stream, like you do for this show every Sunday.
Yeah, and now more than ever, actually tuning into a show is more important and contributes to our, survival or our development more than ever before.
And what's at stake here, and I'll be quite honest, is larger dividends than we could hope to even look at or consider with crowdfunding. We're taking a big risk in that this is a type of show that's never been done on radio, and there is nothing that tells us that it'll succeed out of our gut, out of our gut feeling.
In fact, if you were to ask any board type CEO people, they'd look at it and be like, nah.
There is a certain adventurous spirit that you need to do something like this, and so I think that alone is worth listening to, like spending the time with. You know what I mean? It's a pretty small ask to say, hey, if you like what we do and you want to hear more of it, like make some time.
Old Wargo in the chat saying, I would listen to Checkpoint if it was here in the East Coast. That's what we're trying to say. You can go online to Denver's radio station website and listen to us regardless of where you live.
Exactly.
East Coast, Europe, Antarctica. If you have the internet, you can still listen to us.
Exactly. And not just that, but I mean, like, you got to understand that radio is very much a follow the leader sort of industry where, like, again, we're trying something that is not proven. You start telling people, you start pitching people on the idea of a video game radio show. It's an uphill battle. And it only, not until they see the numbers, not until they see the amount of money that people spend and invest in video games, do they really start to think about it differently. Because when you approach them and say, look, I know you have a problem attracting anyone under 30 to your airwaves, and I think it's because you're not talking to them on their level and you're not talking to them about things that they care about. Let's try talking to them in a genuine way about things that they care about and see if maybe their interest comes back. Now, if we undercut ourselves and just posted that online, like, you just subscribe to it as a podcast and forget, you wouldn't need to tune into it as an on-air product. But we need you to tune in because we need to prove the concept. And the only way that we prove the concept is by getting people to listen and getting businesses to invest.
Yep.
The pitch to businesses, by the way, just so you know, so we're totally transparent, the pitch to businesses is to approach smaller, hobby shops and game shops and things like that wouldn't have a good outlet for advertising because they'd hit maybe 35% of their audience at most, going to them and saying, hey, we've got an avenue for you to advertise around, and we can guarantee that 100% of people that are listening to this are going to be interested in your product. That's not necessarily winning with massive numbers on our side, but it's delivering an audience that gives a shit about the product, that at the end of the day, someone is trying to sell you something. And if it's a video game, I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty okay about trying to sell you guys video games because that's what we talk about and it's what you give a shit about. Like, I'm not going to feel bad about that. And so that's the entire business model that we're working with here. Sorry to pull the curtain back if you wanted a little bit of mystery, but that's the pitch. That's the idea. That's the concept. And it's getting enough traction to get us on the air. And I don't think, I mean, maybe some of you do, but I don't think everyone really has an idea of how much of an uphill battle that is alone. And the fact that we're getting the opportunity to reach out and to try to gain a bigger audience, to reach out to more people, we need to be able to prove the concept.
And you guys are going to be our biggest ally in doing that. I mean, you get in the chat, Marcus Kyler says, I listened on the website for 1600 Denver on my phone while in Florida. Did it on my phone at work. That's all it takes.
And
that's all it takes.
If you're someone out there who you're poor, or whatever, your money's tight, you can't subscribe to the Twitch channel, you can't give on Patreon.
We hear from you a lot.
This helps.
Because you apologize for some reason. I don't know why.
Like you have to apologize.
You don't need to apologize.
You definitely need to apologize to me.
This is something you can do when we tweet that link out and say, hey, we're going live in 20 minutes. Share that around with all your friends. That helps us so much.
Just a funny story to give you guys an idea of how much of an uphill battle it is. Chris actually has to like double and triple explain to people he knows like why they should be so hyped. Do you want to go ahead and tell the story, Chris?
All right, so I've kind of dread talking to like my friends and family and coworkers about Checkpoint Radio because when I tell them the idea of like a esports radio show, they say, oh, wow, that's really cool. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to actually be on the radio and nationally syndicated and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, cool. When can I listen to you? Well, it's like, well, I'm not personally on the show, but like I co-own the production company that makes the show. And they're like, so you're not on the show?
You're not on the radio?
Well, no, not me personally, but like I get
it's my product.
I help make it. I help produce it, and like Don't I?
Do you?
And yeah, it's
You know what's gonna end up happening? He's gonna end up being our Stan Lee. Yeah.
He's going to take all the swoop in and take all the credit.
Yeah. We're all the Jack Kirbys.
Yeah.
He's Stan Lee.
Yeah. I saw where you were going with that analogy. Yeah. But yeah, we're really excited for Checkpoint. Obviously, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Getting these shows ready for a
lot of work.
It is.
Let me tell
Shut up. You wouldn't know.
How many outlines did you help with this week?
I helped with a lot.
You're a liar.
I did a lot of accounting though.
Okay, I mean that's fair. You do a lot of accounting.
Yeah, you do that.
You do. Because he shits all over it.
How did we get a radio show?
I don't know.
Well, to quote a great and wise man, we just put a mic in front of our face.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, just put the mics out there and...
When did I ever say that?
Shut up.
Anyway, all right, that's going to do it here for Final Encountercast. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode number 52 of Final Encountercast. Make sure you stay tuned. Coming up next here at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. We've got episode number 100 of Limit Break Radio. That's coming up next. You guys are going to want to stick around. We've got some really exciting things planned for you.
You ain't never seen nothing like this.
Oh, it's going to be...
We guarantee it.
It's going to be awesome. You guys stick around. That's coming up next here at 4 p.m. at twitch.tv/Limit Break Radio. And if you're curious, listening on the podcast at home, limitbreakradio.com to check out that show. That's going to be it here for today. I want to thank my crew, of course, Kooky Persona, who's been hanging out and answering your calls. Even though we didn't take any from you today, she's been hanging out and answering your calls and been doing a fantastic job as our producer. I also want to thank my crew, Nika, even though I didn't thank her at the beginning. I'm not going to ignore you on the out. Robbie, Fat, and Callie. I'm Nate. Have a good one. Final Encountercast is a production of FinalEncountercast.com, Limit Break Radio, and Bender Media Productions. Today's episode was produced by Nate Bender, Callie Sloan, and Kooky Persona. This show is made possible by the generous Patreon donors of the podcast Limit Break Radio. Opening music provided by Keyboard Kid. More info and music can be found at keyboardkid206.bandcamp.com. Closing music provided by Sobsy. For more info, visit sobsy.bandcamp.com. For links to articles mentioned on the show, check out our live blog at FinalEncountercast.com. Final Encountercast and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.